Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 30th of December, now it's 9 o'clock in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There are quite a few very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment, but before I start, let me take a minute and mention my channel on Rumble. It has a similar name as on YouTube, Levan Gudadze Opinion, and on Telegram also. And well, according to Rumble's statistics, our community did reach 1997 at this point. We only need 3 more new members in our community on Rumble, and we will reach 20,000. So please, if you are watching this update on YouTube, consider to join our community on Rumble. Also, I will be immensely grateful. And as I said many times before, after 2nd of January, after New Year's celebrations, I will continue to not just to produce additional content for both platforms, for both channels on YouTube and Rumble, but also I will continue to make additional content for Rumble, like Telegram reports and maybe some additional program, exactly in attempt to generate additional interest towards Rumble channel. So I hope you would not be disappointed if you will join our community. You can see link to my Rumble channel under this video in description box or in the pinned comment. And that's been said, while I'm talking about channels, this is statistics of my YouTube channel. As you can see here, our community is 19,993. We need 7 more new members on YouTube and we will reach 20,000. So please, if you can, share link to my channel with your friends, with family members, and hopefully we will manage to reach 20,000 before New Year. That would be great New Year's gift, of course. I was quite skeptical that we will manage to reach 20,000 on YouTube before end of this year, but it looks like we can. So please, if you can, share links to my YouTube channel also, and hopefully we will achieve this milestone, I will say, 20,000 level. That's been said, let's talk about news now. And first of all, short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. According to reports from Russian media and Russian military channels, there was no breakthroughs on any of the sectors of the front line, no crucial changes that will influence line of contact in immediate future, although Russian forces are continuing to increase pressure all along the front. And at this point we can probably say with the certainty that Russian side began its final preparations for upcoming decisive actions during this winter. Yesterday, of course, all of you are informed that yesterday Russian armed forces conducted quite a massive missile and drone strikes on military and logistical infrastructure of Kiev regime all along the Kiev-controlled territory, from southern eastern parts of Ukraine to western parts. Munition depots were targeted, warehouses where military equipment was stored by Kiev regime, also training grounds for Ukrainian armed forces and also mercenaries, especially in the western regions of Ukraine. And of course, according to reports that I see, manufacturing plants of Ukraine's military industrial complex, or at least what is still operational, was targeted. And well, even though Russian Defense Ministry is quite conservative in its statements when it comes to any operations, really, and in this particular case about this strikes. Also, many channels on Telegram are suggesting that strikes were extremely successful, and once again, because it was a so huge strike, I guess one may say that these final preparations for decisive actions definitely has begun. But now let's go sector by sector. In Kherson sector, no significant changes. For whatever reason, Kyiv regime is still maintaining hotspot or foothold on the Krinky area in the central part, without having any chances to further advance in this or any other direction. And I remind you, dear friends, that during this so-called Kherson offensive, Kyiv regime sacrificed at least 2 full-blooded brigades if we combine all the casualties that Ukrainian armed forces suffered in this direction, in manpower, and also, of course, in terms of destroyed military equipment. And the Ukrainian side still also has a small foothold right next to a destroyed Antonovsky and the railway bridge in Oleshki area. Yet again, not even slight chance on part of armed forces of Ukraine to advance and achieve any success on this line of contact. Situation is under full Russian control, and I guess at this point no one has any doubts that Russian forces turned this left bank of the Dnieper River into trap in which Kyiv regime failed. And maybe some high-ranking officials in Kyiv up till now didn't realize this, and maybe that's why they are trying to maintain this presence of Ukrainian armed forces on the left bank, and on daily basis sacrificing more and more military personnel. Sometime in the future, whoever was commanding this operation and whoever was giving orders on part of Ukrainian armed forces will probably end up in a court for crimes against Ukraine, I would say, Ukrainian society, because they truly are sacrificing citizens of Ukraine, mainly forcefully mobilized citizens, for political and media games of Zelensky and his criminal associates. As I said, situation is under full Russian control, and Kyiv regime never had even slight chance to achieve anything. When it comes to Zaporozhye and South Donetsk sectors of the front line, main hotspot is of course Orekhov bridgehead in Zaporozhye sector of the front, and at this point even Ukrainian Telegram channels are beginning to report that Russian forces are advancing and closing basically this Orekhov bridgehead. Russian side is advancing in Verbova area, Russian side is advancing in Rabotina area, and basically Rabotina at this point from western side is partially, I will say, encircled by Russian forces, and forward units of Russian army are in the vicinity of this small and somewhat irrelevant settlement, really. Rabotina become known worldwide just because this settlement is only one that Kyiv regime managed to establish control over during this so-called counteroffensive that Kyiv regime conducted. And that's why we are talking about Rabotina at all, because this settlement has no strategic or any other meaning in military terms and never had. But Kyiv regime was unable to achieve any success during this counteroffensive and reach, for example, Tokmak or any other truly strategic settlements on this land bridge between Crimea and mainland Russia. And nowadays, Kyiv regime even losing control over these areas, these small areas that they managed to achieve control over this summer offensive. And I remind you, dear friends, that Kyiv regime sacrificed most capable brigades that Ukrainian armed forces had on both these sectors, South Donetsk and Zaporozhye sectors. I guess Russian side have no plans, at least for now, to encircle Ukrainian grouping of forces in Orekhov Breach, and according to information that we have, we may make, I guess, informed guess that task of Russian armed forces in this area is to just push back Ukrainian forces towards Orekhov, towards Malaya Takmachka and Novodanilovka, without attempts to encircle this grouping of forces. And it may be understandable, because after all, we are talking about open terrain, open fields, really, and any large-scale offensive operation in this area will endanger military personnel of Russian armed forces to become under artillery strikes of Ukrainian army, and there is no need for such an operation. I guess Russian armed forces can quite effectively force Ukrainian units to withdraw from this area without some massive large-scale operations. Although I would not be surprised at all if encircling of Ukrainian grouping of forces in Orekhov Breach will also take place. Let's see how the situation develops. But initiative is in Russian hands, and nothing can change in this matter. When it comes to South Donetsk sector, also no significant changes. Main hotspots are remaining Vremevsky salient area and Novomikhailivka settlement. According to some reports, Russian forces did enter this village, Novomikhailivka. According to other reports, Russian forces are encircling for this moment this settlement from northern and southern flanks. Hard to tell what is the situation in this area, but from what I see on internet, videos from this area, I find it difficult to believe that positions of Ukrainian forces are strong enough in this area to hold on to this village. I guess it's only a matter of days, maybe week also, and Novomikhailivka will come under full Russian control. When it comes to Donetsk sector of the front line, we do have some interesting update. Yesterday, video was circulating on internet with Zelensky, who was apparently in Avdiivka area, somewhere in entrance area of this city. And well, he does this kind of stunts, isn't it? Because he knows Moscow is not intends to take him out, and he feels free to, visit the front lines time to time. He was somewhere around Bakhmut during the Bakhmut operation, and we know what happened to Bakhmut. Russian forces established full control over that city. Before that, he was in Solidar area, and Solidar also did become under full Russian control, and I guess it will happen again. This is Zelensky's curse, one may say. Whenever he visits any area on the front line, in fairly short time that area is becoming under Russian control, and very same will happen with Avdiivka. Some channels, especially in the West and Ukraine, some media outlets began making this image of trying at least to make some image of a hero from Zelensky, that he's tough guy, and he just look at him, he's not afraid to visit front line. Come on, man, how we can believe this nonsense? We all know that former Prime Minister of Israel did openly stated that Putin personally promised him that Moscow has no intention to take out Zelensky and will not even try. And that's what is happening. Zelensky knows perfectly well that even if Russian military intelligence have perfect knowledge on his movement and his location, he would not be targeted. So there is nothing heroic in his this travel actions and the media stunts, media operations. Nothing heroic. He is just playing with the Ukrainian society, with the armed forces of Ukraine that he is sacrificing. And this is very important because this last word, sacrificing, because Zelensky yesterday stated that Ukrainian armed forces will not withdraw from Avdiivka. According to from what I read, he said that Ukrainian armed forces will stay in Avdiivka and fight for this small city, relevantly small city, even though they have no chance. They have no chance to successfully defend their positions. They have no even theoretical chance to defend their positions. And yet again, we are clearly seeing that for political and media perspective, or for political points and media victory, or whatever that is, man, this oh, my English is too bad, man. But we all understand what am I talking about, isn't it? He is sacrificing once again hundreds and most likely thousands of Ukrainian soldiers by not agreeing with the general staff of Ukraine and not allowing Ukrainian forces to withdraw from Avdiivka. That's it. Only because he wants some political points and he wants some media perspective to be in his favor, so that he can play with this image of tough guy and tough leader, which is he's not. I mean, he's even not as good as actor as some may see. I mean, he's just average actor, for God's sake, man. But this is interesting. This is interesting because just a few days ago, the Ukrainian channels, Ukrainian media did begin reporting about possibility that Ukrainian armed forces will withdraw from several areas, including Avdiivka. This was coming from Ukrainian military. And yesterday, Zelensky basically overruled this initiative of Ukrainian military and basically ordered them to stay and die in Avdiivka, so that him and his criminal associates will, further enjoy, reach a life, and will further serve their Western masters as best as they can. That's all. Of course, it's only a matter of time that Avdiivka will become under full Russian control. I am somewhat surprised that Ukrainian garrison did not lay down arms and did not surrender. I was thinking their officers in Avdiivka, especially after Bakhmut story, did learn something, and they are a little more clever than this, but seems like they are not. And well, unfortunately, Russian side will not have another option other than just went in and neutralize all the enemy forces that they will encounter. That's how it's gonna be. And whoever from Ukrainian side, whoever will manage to escape and run away, okay, and rest of them will probably find their last day in Avdiivka. That's how it's gonna be. When it comes to Bakhmut direction, no crucial changes. Russian forces are on offensive and closing into Chizhov Yar from both sides, from southern side and from the northern side, but most importantly from northern side, because Chizhov Yar is on high ground, and it will be unreasonable to conduct offensive on Chizhov Yar from the southern direction. So I guess in coming days and weeks, Russian forces will establish full control over the Bogdanovka and began operations in direction of Kalinovka, this settlement, and also Ivanovskaya or Krasnaya, this settlement here on the southern side of from Bogdanovka, will also become under full Russian control, and then we will probably see beginning of the offensive on Chizhov Yar. And northern sectors of the front line. Yesterday, Russian military channels did report that Russian units had success in local-scale offensive operations in direction of Vysyola and Razdolovka. Russian forces are increasing pressure and moving towards Seversk, increasing basically pressure on Ukrainian units in Seversk area. And of course, main hotspots on Seversk direction or Krasny Liman direction also are these villages here: Yampolovka, Terny, Novosadove. It's only a matter of days, I guess, and the Ukrainian units will be forced to withdraw from this area and establish new defense line on the right bank of the Zhiribets river. It all depends really on time scale of Russian large-scale offensive operation, when this large-scale operation will begin. And as I said many times before, if Ukrainian armed forces will crack, if cracks will appear in defense lines of Ukrainian armed forces and collapse will begin now, next several weeks, then probably towards end of January, early February, we will see large-scale Russian offensive operations. If not, then yet again, there is no rush for Russian side. This active defense strategy is working perfectly well to demilitarize Kyiv regime, and Russian side can continue this, use this strategy as long as it's necessary. And when Ukrainian armed forces will finally begin collapsing, then we will see decisive actions. And this is very important. This is very important, dear friends, because we all know what is going on the line of contact, what is happening with the local infrastructure. Everything, almost everything, is decimated as a result of high intensity clashes, and of course Russian side is trying to minimize casualties among manpower and Russian side and civilians first of all, of course, and Russian side is trying to minimize damage on the ground, because after this conflict will end, it's Russian Federation and Russian taxpayers that gonna pay for rebuilding everything that was destroyed. So it only makes sense to maintain current line of contact as long as it's necessary, demilitarize Ukrainian Kyiv regime and minimize battle capabilities of Ukrainian armed forces. When they will begin collapsing, conduct large-scale offensive operations to establish control over their wider areas, to liberate basically all the regions of Ukraine that used to be part of Russia and was gifted to Ukraine by Bolsheviks, by communists, basically, without asking anybody, especially locals. That's been said. This is it when it comes to short summary of the situation on the front line. On Kupiansk direction, also no significant changes, and main hotspot is of course Sinkovka settlement for quite a while. And dear friends, as I always say, if you are interested in more detailed information about these local scale clashes, local scale skirmishes, I do recommend military channels, because, and you can see links to some of them, because they do provide this detailed information on daily basis. And well, that's been said, let's talk about some other news now. And well, RT is reporting that a Russian representative in UN did made quite interesting statements. He said that Kyiv's battle plans ended in complete fiasco, which is completely true. But let's read several sentences. Ukraine's ambitious plan to defeat the Russian forces has ended in a complete fiasco. Russian envoy to the UN, Vasily Nebezhny, told the Security Council on Friday. The urgent meeting in the UN headquarters in New York was required by Kyiv after Russia carried out large-scale airstrikes and drone attacks in their neighboring country. In his speech, Nebezhny did not mince words, telling Kyiv and its supporters that no amount of Western aid can help Ukraine. Ukraine does not and will not have resources to achieve a breakthrough on or preserve the current situation on the line of contact, Nebezhny said. The military plans of the of the regime in Kiev have ended in a complete fiasco. That is why you should anticipate bad news in the nearest future for yourself and your Ukrainian proxies. That was Nebezny's address towards, I guess, Washington, London, first of all, Brussels. Well, the Russian envoy stated that additional Western aid would only prolong the agony of the Ukrainian government. A military victory over Russia is completely unattainable goal. Ukraine has wasted a good opportunity to strike a peace deal with Russia during the negotiations held in March and April of 2022, Nebeznya said. The time is running out for the regime in Kiev. Its future is, in fact, under serious threat. The Russian diplomat warned. At the same time, peaceful Ukrainians, the Ukrainian language and Ukrainian culture are under no threat, no matter how hard the West is trying to prove their opposite. Nebeznya made his comments months after Ukraine's much hyped summer counteroffensive failed to win any significant ground. The troops suffered heavy casualties and lost much of their valuable Western supplied tanks and other equipment. Well, all this is complete true, really, and well, I don't know about Kiev regime, but Zelensky's time is definitely running out, and he will be replaced. He will be replaced most likely with someone from Zaluzhny's camp, or maybe even with Zaluzhny in 3 to 5 months time. That's my understanding of my reading of the situation. And when it comes to citizens of Ukraine, Ukrainian language and culture, well, who can argue with Nebeznya? We have a prime example of new regions in Russia. Crimea, for example, which is part of Russia since 2014. And well, you can visit Crimea basically and see what's going on there. Ukrainian language is a regional language, like Tatar language, also minority in Crimea. And this was not done. And for example, Tatar people, they never had their language to be recognized as a regional, while Crimea was under control of Kiev. And when it comes to Ukrainian culture is a part of Russian culture. So, of course, Ukrainian culture cannot be under any threat from Russian side. Impossible. It can be under threat from the Western side, for sure. But because the Western ruling class or globalists, they want to make from all the nations and all the cultures some gray mass without any identity. But Russia is very different, and Russia has a very different approach, and always had. And just look at Russia itself, man. It's autonomous republics, regions. I mean, there is so many ethnic groups and religion groups and cultural groups that are, living in peace for centuries, really. And that's how Russia was built. So it's nothing new or special for Russia. That's how Russia operates. So of course, Ukrainian culture, Ukrainian language, and citizens of Ukraine are no under threat from Russian side. I remind you, dear friends, that in Russia, according to some reports, at this point are from 3 to 5 million refugees from Ukraine. Many citizens in the Western states have no idea about it, I guess, because they probably think that all the Ukrainians are running towards West, but in reality not. And many refugees, dear friends, many of them, because of this situation on the line of contact and difficulties to cross border to Russia from Ukraine right now, many are running to Europe, and then from Europe are coming into Russia. but Western media will never report about it, of course. And well, let's continue. RT is also reporting that, according to Ukrainian officials, Russian supersonic missiles are basically unstoppable for them. And let's read it a little more. Kiev's forces have been unable to shut down a single Kh-22 or Kh-32 supersonic cruise missiles out of around 300 allegedly launched so far by Russia. Ukrainian Air Force Commander spokesperson Ukrainian Air Force Command spokesperson Yuri Ignat has disclosed. His comments comes after Moscow launched major missile attacks against targets across the Ukraine over the past 2 days. So, well, this is nothing new. Military experts, many military experts spoke about this topic and highlight that not IRIS-T, not Western-made IRIS-T air defense system, not Patriot air defense systems are not capable to deal with the significant number and significant types of Russian missiles, including cruise missiles, in this case Kh-22 or Kh-32, that are too fast. These ones are not hypersonic missiles, Kh-22 or 32, but they are on the verge of being hypersonic. Their speed is about 4,000 kilometers, so it's more than 3 m. It's more than 3 times of speed of sound, and none of the Western air defense systems missiles have such speed, and none of them can track and intercept these missiles effectively. Sometimes, randomly, some of those air defense systems may have a luck and shut down some of the Russian missiles, especially this type of missiles or hypersonic ones, but well, even this Yuri Ignat is forced to recognize that they are unable to deal with Russian missiles. If they find it difficult to shut down Kh-22 or 32, then how are they gonna shut down Kinzhal missiles that have a greater speed than these ones? And how are they gonna deal with the other Russian missile systems that are even more modern? And I'll remind you, dear friends, that some time ago, when Patriots were first time deployed in Ukraine, probably you all remember that there was hype in the Western media, and Kiev regime was almost on daily basis for making statements that they shut down Kinzhal missile there and Kinzhal missile there. That was all false. That was all fake. And now, indirectly, they are basically acknowledging this, because, yet again, if they cannot deal with the Kh-32, which is not hypersonic missile, very fast but still not hypersonic, then of course it's not even theoretical chances that they have that to shut down hypersonic missiles. But anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that, well, this is very interesting news. Polish foreign minister yesterday summoned Russian diplomat, representative of Russian embassy in Poland, to give him a note of protest that some unidentified object flew from Ukraine into Poland and then flew back to Ukraine. So very strange story. After yesterday's large-scale Russian missile and drone strikes on military and logistical infrastructure of Kiev regime, Polish media and Polish officials began making statements that something flew into Poland from Ukraine. Some search was conducted on the ground. Nobody find nothing. Also, Polish Air Force was several planes of Polish Air Force were launched to intercept whatever this unidentified flying object was entering in Polish area. But yet again, they did not find nothing. They did not intercept nothing. And eventually, eventually Polish leadership come up with these crazy statements that something went into Poland, then travel inside Poland, visited some tourist destinations, and went back to Ukraine. And that's why they did not manage to intercept it. So, I mean, how seriously you can take these people in leadership of Poland, I don't know, but I definitely can't, man. I definitely cannot. This is too crazy, man. This is too crazy to even discuss seriously. I don't believe anything entered Poland at all from Ukraine. Or if anything entered and crashed there, most likely it was a Ukrainian air defense missile. And in that case, maybe Warsaw just don't want to further escalate with Kiev, and they come up with this crazy story that some missile went into Poland, just fly around, and then went back to Ukraine. I mean, are these people even? I don't know, man. You tell me how crazy is that, man? Of course, cruise missiles can change trajectory, but why would Russia send any missile with the trajectory to enter Poland and then go back to Ukraine? It does not make any sense, really. I don't think Moscow is very keen to further escalate with anybody, really, especially with the NATO member states. Why? It does not benefit Moscow in any ways. So that's why I think if anything really entered the Polish airspace, most likely Ukrainian air defense missile, and Warsaw just did not want it to escalate with Kiev, and that's why they come up with this crazy statement. But Russia is launching now tourist missiles, man. They are entering countries, flying around, seeing some destinations, and well, after they enjoy their time, they are going back to some other place. And crazy, man. Crazy. As I said many times before, man, it's becoming more and more difficult to seriously take or seriously comment statements from the EU member states or collective West, let's say. Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that, this is also interesting. The aide of Kiev's top general has made a novel argument for a mobilization. Quite interesting. And let me read a few sentences. A death in the battle is preferable to a car crash. A la Martinyuk, an aide to the Supreme Commander of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, General Valery Zaluzhny, said in an interview on Friday. Martinyuk is a former theater and TV actress who currently serves as an external advisor to Zaluzhny. Well, I don't know what Zaluzhny and this individual has in common. Who knows? But she's definitely not someone who's supposed to be in Ministry of Defense, and especially as on position of advisor to head of general staff. So we all understand that something dodgy is happened there, isn't it? But anyway, let's continue. In a broadcast shared on the social media by the Kyiv-based news agency Union, she argued against the reaction of most Ukrainians to getting mobilized into the military. I now see when someone gets a summons, the mothers immediately write. They are already hysterical and almost immediately say goodbye to the lives of their sons, Martinyuk said on air. But I will tell you, this is not right. All this hysteria is not needed. You need to believe that your son is a hero and the flower of the nation. We will all die anyway. Living this life with dignity is much better than walking down the streets and and having a brick fell on you, or a car ran you over, she added. So, I mean, Zaluzhny has distanced himself from Martinyuk's words, because people did not find these words encouraging at all, that they all die, and therefore, it's better Ukrainian military age men to go on the front line and die there for Zelensky and his criminal associates. I mean, people did not like it all in Ukraine, and well, Zaluzhny has distanced himself from words of Martinyuk, and she was fired, basically. She was basically fired because of this total craziness, man. These so-called elites in Ukraine that are benefiting significantly financially in terms of material goods. They are ready to sacrifice all of Ukrainians, all of them, to maintain their wealth, to maintain their income, to maintain their positions. And this really stupid individual is a prime example of that. Why she is not going to die in the front line? I mean, why? Let her go and die there and give example to rest of the Ukrainians. But no, not she, not other these so-called representatives of Kiev regime are willing to go on the front line and die there, or send their family members, but they are demanding from other Ukrainians, from ordinary citizens, to do exactly that. And people are waking up. People are waking up, because otherwise, this individual, this Martinyuk, would not be fired, and Zaluzhny would not distance himself from her words. People is waking up in Ukraine. They are beginning to learn how to deal with the fear, and are rising voices. And hopefully, in coming months, more and more people will wake up, and maybe we will even see some struggle for liberation inside the Ukraine. Maybe people will begin fight for their liberation from this Western-controlled criminal terrorist and Nazi regime in Kiev. Hopefully that will happen. Otherwise, as I said, man, these criminals, they will sacrifice everybody in Ukraine. Everybody. Because they become millionaires, and some of them billionaires, by using Ukraine as a source of their enrichment. Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that, well, Ukraine requests emergency funding meeting with its donors. That was reported by Bloomberg yet again. As I said, man, these criminals in the so-called elites of Ukraine, they cannot stop. And they will use every opportunity to enrich themselves. And of course, they will ask now additional funds from their donors. Of course they will. So Ukrainian Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal has sent a letter to an international group coordinating funds to request an emergency meeting with the Western donors, as Kiev confronts exceptionally high uncertainty over its budget, Bloomberg reported on Thursday. According to outlet, Shmyhal sent a letter this month to the multi-agency donor coordination platform for Ukraine, urging Western sponsors help cover the budget shortfall. And I remind you, dear friends, that Western states, Western taxpayers, European taxpayers, US taxpayers, Canadian taxpayers, Japanese taxpayers, for example, Australian taxpayers, or taxpayers in New Zealand, are paying salaries of officials in Ukraine, salaries of, and we are talking about millions of people. They are paying salaries for Ukraine's military, Ukraine's police, Ukraine's secret services. They are paying salaries for teachers in Ukraine, for doctors in Ukraine, for everybody who works in state finance sectors like education, healthcare, and so on. Energy sector, significant part of energy sector, and also pensions, by the way. Also pensions. Ukrainian pensioners are receiving pensions, or supposed to receive from funds that are sent to Kiev regime from the West, from the collective West. So combined, if you combine all these groups of people, we are talking about millions and millions of citizens of Ukraine that are totally dependent now on Western financial aid to Kiev regime. And I remind you, if no one knows for sure exactly what percentage of those funds have been stolen by Kiev regime, but we definitely are talking about billions and billions. Not for, Kiev regime is called most corrupt regime in Europe for a reason, after all, isn't it? And, well, it's a very expensive enterprise to finance this failed state and maintain this failed state. And I guess appetite to continue this craziness is less and less in European states and even in North America. And once Kiev regime will lose its Western finances, then that's it. Give it a month or two, and system in Ukraine will collapse, because Ukraine is not a state. It's formally a state, but in reality, it cannot support itself. It cannot support itself. It's a failed state, absolutely, and remains on political map just because of these Western finances. Once this flow will stop, and it will stop at some point, system in Ukraine will collapse in just a couple of months. And let's continue. But for Westerners, for citizens of Western states, it must be, at least to those who know what is going on and are well informed, it must be really difficult to understand why their countries are supporting this other most corrupt regime in the world, while their own fellow citizens in the West are thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions even. Their own fellow citizens are in need and have to be supported by government, state. But instead, funds are going to Kiev regime. It's crazy, but it is what it is, man. TASS news agency is reporting that, according to source of TASS news agency, Israeli government is plans to expel from Gaza Strip at least 100,000 Palestinians at this point in a first stage of this operation, to expel into Egypt. And if this source of TASS news agency is correct, then I guess we have a first, maybe not the first, but one of the first direct or confirmations that from very beginning, Israeli government had a plan to use this escalation in the Palestine to expel basically Palestinians from Gaza Strip, and then reintegrate that area and that territory into the Israel. So I guess after all, unfortunately, my initial predictions that Karabakh scenario will be introduced in the Gaza Strip was correct. unfortunately. But I mean, more and more indicators are that that's exactly what Netanyahu's government is intent to do: force Palestinians out of Gaza Strip and then reintegrate or integrate all that territory into Israel. And that's the first stage. If they will succeed with that, I guess it's only a matter of time, and they will try to do exactly the same in the West Bank. But it is what it is, man. The world is failing to do anything about it, unfortunately. TASS news agency is reporting that State Department of US approved another package of military aid to Israel for 147.5 million US dollars, and in this aid Israel will receive 155 millimeter shells that are so in deficit in Ukraine. So maybe Pentagon, or most likely Pentagon, was planning to send this 155 millimeter shells to Kiev regime, but now of course priorities are different, and they are sending these weapons to Israel. TASS news agency is also reporting that Egypt and Qatar did propose initiative, peace initiative, hostages to be released by Hamas, and same time Israel to release a number of Palestinians that they have in hostage. They are also hostages, and thousands of them. I remind you, during the previous temporary truce, Israel released number of Palestinians in exchange of Israelis that were held by Hamas. But in very same time, Israeli police and IDF detained more people that they release. So, and they are holding thousands and thousands of Palestinians from Gaza Strip and from West Bank. And according to this initiative of Egypt and Qatar, temporary truce should be for 20 days. Should be for 20 days at least. I did not see in the media, in media, reaction of Israeli side on this initiative. At least Russian media did not yet report about it. Maybe. But well, any truce is better than none one, isn't it? So well, hopefully Egypt and Qatar will manage to persuade both sides to end hostilities at least for 20 days. It will be relief for civilians, of course. First of all, TASS news agency is reporting that according to Bloomberg's data, Washington is trying to persuade shipping companies to continue transport of goods through Red Sea, and they are trying to guarantee safety of the ships and the crews. And maybe they have reason to do so. I mean, Washington just recently, high-ranking officials in Iran and Iranian media did report that Washington asked Tehran for help to deal with the threats that are created by Houthi rebels to shipping lines in the Red Sea, and because regional war is no way in interests of Iran or any other major country in the region, I guess Tehran did use its influence in Yemen to calm down or to de-escalate, to calm down things, and maybe there will be no more strikes from Houthis on merchant ships. Who knows? But it's definitely not in Iran's interests these Houthi actions to be used by NATO member states, let's see, to further increase the deployment of their forces in the region. And I was saying from very beginning that, I mean, probably Iran will try to de-escalate, use its influence, and maybe that's what happened, because otherwise it does not make any sense to, from Washington, to pressure companies to renew using these shipping lines through the Red Sea if there is no security guarantees there. Because if something will happen, then no one gonna take seriously promises of Washington in that business of shipping, isn't it? Those companies will never listen to Washington no more. So maybe Washington and Iran did achieve some agreement, and maybe Houthis will de-escalate. That will be good. That will be good for a region. That will be good for a region, because yet again, one may understand from where Houthis are coming from. They are protesting actions of Netanyahu's government, and they were demonstrating their support to Palestinians. But same time, by escalating in the Red Sea, Houthis indirectly are generating even more problems for a region, in my understanding. And I guess Iran has a similar take on the situation, and probably they use their influence to de-escalate. Let's see, if there will be no strikes no more in the Red Sea from Houthi rebels, then I guess my reading of picture is correct. Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that China reveals new defense minister. The Chinese government has named the commander-in-chief of its naval forces as a defense minister. The move comes after the previous holder of the role was fired in late October amid reports of his involvement in a corruption scandal. On Friday, the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress, a permanent body of the country's legislature, made a series of personal decisions, including the appointment of Admiral Dong Yun as a Minister of National Defense. The 62-year-old has steadily climbed through the ranks of the Chinese Navy for many years, becoming its chief in 2021. Well, Admiral will become defense minister of Chinese Defense Ministry, which is interesting, because I guess Chinese Navy's development in the previous decade or two was very impressive, and I guess investments in development of Navy will only increase now, because defense minister will be admiral, someone who is most likely subjective towards Navy. And as I said, they had some quite impressive achievements. At this point, China is on the stage to receive a third generation of aircraft carrier, super carrier, and China will become a second nation in the world which will have super carriers with water displacement 100,000 tons and more, 100,000 tons, and that aircraft carrier is on trials now, if I'm not mistaken. Just recently there was some pictures, some videos on the internet that was circulating about this new type of aircraft carrier, and under leadership of this Admiral Dong Yung, I guess China will become a blue water power. Now Chinese Navy's capability are more oriented on coastline defense, but with the increase of these large ships, aircraft carriers, and frigates and so on, then they will become blue water power for sure. let's see. Let's see. I would prefer if all the nations will live in peace, and if all these funds that are directed towards military to be spent on some good stuff, really, on science, on education, or on healthcare, on infrastructure, and so on. But unfortunately, we are living in a world in which, not all countries are managing to have good relationships between each other. RT is reporting that Argentina opts out of BRICS. Well, not exactly the breaking news. We all knew that after this new president, after in Argentina new president was elected, this country will not join BRICS. There was certain statements made in Buenos Aires about it, and it's official now. Argentina has formally rejected an invitation to become a member of BRICS group of nations. Several news media outlets reported on Friday, citing an official letter they have seen, which has been sent to leaders of Russia, China, India, Brazil, and South Africa. So, well, under leadership of this new president, Javier Milei, Argentina did the U-turn, basically, and from chances and perspectives to become a part of this growing economical powerhouse that BRICS is, Argentina will now go, will become just another irrelevant province of US empire. And I don't know how it's gonna benefit Argentinians, really, but that's what they vote for. And well, it's sad, really. I mean, Argentina had such a chance, man, unique chance to finally deal with the economical and all the other issues with support of BRICS, and this individual was elected, and this chance was blown out of, unbelievable. And also, to continue topic of Argentina, Moscow urges Buenos Aires to remain neutral on Ukraine. Moscow objects to the idea floated by the Argentine military that the country's new administration could donate 2 Russian helicopters to Kiev as a gesture of goodwill to the US. Ambassador Dmitry Feoktistov told journalists on Thursday. Well, I did report it several days ago that new leadership of Argentina may donate 2 Mi-17 helicopters, or Mi-171 helicopters. These helicopters have different indicators, but they're all Mi-8, basically. All those helicopters are different types of Mi-8 transport helicopter. And there was information circulating in the internet that Buenos Aires may donate 2 Mi-171 helicopters to Kiev regime, probably to please Washington. Both helicopters need some maintenance. They are not operational right now, and still, even though of course this helicopter is not gonna change much on the front line, but it will put Argentina in state among the states that are designated by Russia as non-friendly, hostile states. And Moscow will then act based on that. And that's why Moscow is basically warning Buenos Aires not to do this, because it will definitely not benefit Argentina in any ways. But yet again, this new crazy clown that they have as a president in Argentina, I don't think he is capable of adequate thinking. He's too stupid for that, and therefore most likely these helicopters will be delivered to Kiev regime. But yet again, man, if Argentinian people wants this clown stupid individual to be their president, then yes, that's their choice. So TASS news agency is reporting that level of trust to President of Russian Federation did reach 80%, according to latest studies from Avdiivka. Well, am I surprised? No. Putin's rating is always around 70 something, now 80%. And well, I'm definitely not surprised, because he's not just most popular politician in Russia, but he's probably most popular politician worldwide. Worldwide. That's simple, true, like it or not, but that's how it is, man. And Russian government's trust in Russian government is 53.7%, which is also quite good percentage, quite a good percentage. Prime Minister has a more percentage point in trust ratio, 54.5%. Sorry. Mishustin, Prime Minister, has a 62.9% trust, and this is quite confusing. So work of I have to translate this, man. Maybe TASS news agency messed up here, or maybe I don't understand something. So activities of the Russian government are approved by 53.7% of respondents. And the work of Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin is approved by 54.5% of respondents. 62.9% of respondents express confidence in Mishustin. So I just don't understand, man. 54.5% is approving work of Prime Minister, and the 62.99% has expressed confidence in Mishustin. Is there any difference in between approving his work and the confidence? Really confusing. But anyway, whatever the case, Mishustin has a quite a high level of support, I will say. Even though he is not really a politician, he's a businessman, he's a practitioner, he's someone that makes things be done. And well, I do understand why society feels trust him and his government, because after all, I guess vast majority in Russia are somewhat surprised how effectively Russian economy did deal with the Western pressure. And well, Mishustin and his government definitely deserves credit for this, isn't it? So yes, I only now take pay attention to this, that they are trust and they are confidence, different stuff in whenever this social studies are made. Although to me it seems same stuff, man. Anyway, let's continue. Russia warns West of retaliation over assets grab. Unsurprisingly, yet again, Russia will retaliate in kind to the potential confiscation of its assets by Western countries. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov told the journalists on Friday. Russian authorities have assessed the unpredictability of the opposing side, as well as their tendency to violate international and other laws, Peskov stated, adding that for now, confiscation of foreign assets in Russia can only be considered in theoretical terms. When Western powers, started feeling unprecedented economic sanctions on us, they did not think about the boomerang effect at all. But now it is obvious, Peskov said, adding that a number of sanctions supporters are wondering whether they did the right thing. According to the official, Moscow has a list of US, European and other assets that would be seized if the G7 nations decided to confiscate the 300 billion in frozen reserves belonging to the Russian state. Yet again, I don't think this is I'm quite sure that this is very bad idea on part of Western ruling elites to seize any Russian assets, and it's unfortunate that Russia will respond in a kind way, well, what Russia should do. I don't like when assets of other states or businesses or individuals are threatened in any ways. But well, Russia has to respond, isn't it? So if and when Western ruling class will steal Russian assets, and they will, I think it's 70% at least chances that they will steal Russian assets one way or another. Well, Moscow will probably respond in the same way, and eventually no one will benefit, but damage to Russia will be minimal, because it will be just a reaction on Western actions. But damage on Western states and will be immense, because basically they are initiating now this somewhat unprecedented stuff for a modern history, when they are openly basically stealing assets of other countries. So who will ever trust them then after that, isn't it? RT is reporting that Germans told that the era of cheap energy is over. Electricity prices will be permanently high. Grid chief Klaus Müller has warned, well, households in Germany will continue to struggle with high electricity and heating costs, aiming the cost of living crisis. Der Spiegel reported on Wednesday, citing the country's federal network agency. Warning comes despite the recent fall in household energy prices, which have decreased 4.5% this year, up to November 2023. Well, it's all about greed of energo companies, isn't it? Really, because yesterday's number of members of our community did mention in the comment sections that spot prices on Russian gas, for example, or on gas in general in Europe, has decreased since the beginning of special military operation. At some point it was very high, but then it decreased. But prices for households did not decrease at all. And therefore, we can say probably, and we will be probably right, that it's all about greed of energo companies that want to make more and more money from customers. Because if spot prices are lower than, let's say, a year ago, then on 20-30% or even more, then why households are not paying also low cost? But this is, I mean, that's what these greedy corporations do, man. That's what greedy corporations do, man. And that's why I'm against corporations to exist at all. I am all for free business and free market, but the state should always intervene whenever any company is becoming too big, and this company have to be divided to make sure that there is no monopolies in the market. Otherwise, these big companies will become multinational corporations, and they will never ever care about their customers. They will only care about money, and we have so many examples of this that I don't think I have to, I don't think there is discussion on this topic. I mean, multinational corporations, they definitely don't care about nobody, man, except themselves and their profits. And RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian Foreign Ministry did made a statement about gas transits through Ukraine. Current contract between Russia and Ukraine will expire in 2024. And, well, according to Russian Foreign Ministry, if there will be demand in Europe on Russian gas, then Russia sees no issue to continue using Ukrainian infrastructure to deliver gas to European customers. But if there will be no demand on Russian gas in Europe, then probably Gazprom will no longer prolong contract with its Ukrainian counterpart, Naftogaz. And Naftogaz on its own already has said that they are not willing to prolong contract in 2025. So maybe this is the last year when Ukrainian gas infrastructure or pipeline infrastructure have been used by Russia to deliver gas to European customers from 2025. It may no longer work, and yet again, Russian side is approaching topic with pragmatic principles. If there is demand, then we will supply, but Ukrainian side has very different approach. Naftogaz already said that they, in no circumstances, they will prolong contract with Gazprom. And okay, if that's their choice, then be so. And this is it for now. Quite a long update, really. Quite a long update, but hopefully you will find this video interesting, and if so, please click that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like, and share video with your friends. In that case, maybe we will manage to reach on Rumble 2,000 and on YouTube 20,000. And if you think this channel is this project with several channels interesting, useful, informative, and has some potential, please, and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, buy me a coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care. Oh, by the way, it's a Saturday, so I hope you have a wonderful day, and I wish you a great weekend. See you soon.